Good evening, Sword family. Welcome to the Teahouse and another episode of Tea Time, where I get to interview and pester all of my wonderful Sword family. And we have quite a few comments already. Oh my god. Not nearly as bad as Nick, but it's still up there, so let's knock through all of these first. At 4:46, first person through the door is Foxy. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Tea House. Yes. And right behind her is Trey. Good evening. Good evening, Trey. And Foxy and Trey greeting each other. And at 5:01, in comes Kitty. Hello, ladies. Hey, ladies. Yes, they're the only ones there at the time, but come on. What about the rest of us? Foxy asking how everyone's day is going. And Trey greeting Kitty with an extra tea. Yeah, why not? Trey took a Benadryl nap. Oh, boy. Foxy wishes that worked for her because that stuff makes her wired. Yes, it does. So do some cough syrups, though. I don't know. And Kitty's is going pretty well so far. That's good to know. And Joe says, at least my pick on the thumbnail didn't scare the three of you away. I don't think that's going to happen. And Aunt Donna joins us. Also just greeting the women. I see how it's going to be. Joe greeting everyone. No such luck, Joe. Yeah, that's not going to happen. Trey greeting Donna. Thought the thumbnail would scare her away. I hope not. That would not be good for relationships. Donna saying the Witzman dude should be here any minute, and he's right behind her. Hello, everyone. Hello, Carl. Yeah, we minutes, whatever. Foxy greeting Donna and Carl. Told you. Yeah. Carl was in the middle of another video, but had this open in the background, was not going to miss this. Well, that's good to know. Because in a couple of weeks, you're all probably going to miss it because I don't know if I'm even going to have a show that day. We will see. Foxy was in the middle of another one. I was not. I was writing. And Trey greeting Carl. And Carl laughing. And Joe greeting Carl. And Carl greeting Trey. Great job on the Munzie. Got mine earlier at lunch. Carl greeting Joe. Carl greeting everyone else. Kitty greeting Carl and Donna. Carl was asked by a future publisher for a bio, and I asked her to just include the link on Indie CD. My business cards that I continuously forget to hand out. The only thing on the back of those, you guys saw them at Indie CD Con. It's just a QR code that just links right to my Indie CD page. I figure why not? Kitty enjoys these streams, but these interviews have been an interesting addition. And that was kind of what I was thinking. The only problem is I'm going to fairly quickly run out of people to interview because I have a fairly small pool of like people that are actually into martial arts. So Carl agreeing. Carl wondering if Dawn will make it. And we haven't seen Dawn yet. Joe said it'll be weird for me not being the one that hits all the buttons. Well, if it makes you feel any better, you could hit some buttons. Carl laughing. Foxy saying that Joe gets to relax tonight. In a manner of speaking. Just answer questions, yes. Trying to mentally prepare myself for that part, I tend to ramble. Well, we're going to have some time to fill. So it's... Trey says thesis is really good at it being a conversation instead of making you feel like you fell into a cop interrogation. I will take that as the compliment that I'm sure it was meant to be. Fill an hour fast. Yeah, we did that last time too. No spotlights. Well, I got sunlight, but it's on me. Gonna let Joe relax. What do you think about that, Trey? Could arrange that if you want. I don't know. Somebody over there got a flashlight. Make Joe turn on his own light and shine it in his own eyes. Oh, please don't. Oh. Okay, I have to actually prepare myself for this one. Hold on. Might need to turn the microphone down. There are 4 lights. Picard yelling, yes. Figured someone would get that. I would hope so with this group. See, even Kitty got that one, and she was probably a child of some age when that came out. So many memes from that episode. Yeah, that was a good one, though. I mean, most of the Next Generation were good ones. Rambling is fine, depending on what the question is. And there are some that could kind of lead into a ramble every once in a while. Carl must have missed a lot of those episodes due to work out of town. Watched almost all the shows on Paramount. Nice. Used to go super slow on my homework to stay up so I could watch Star Trek. All right. Here we go. Showtime. Don't forget to like and share and pester. If you want to pester, it's all right. Don't forget to like and share again. Not in the mood. Yeah, I can tell. Both cats are cuddled up on Trey's lap to watch. I think they recognize the intro music. That's kind of cute. I like that. Makes me feel good. And Carl and Donna and Trey greeting me. Anything that's labeled nighttime will make me twitchy sometimes, and non-drowsy stuff makes me sleepy. Yeah, it's true. Carl can be that way too. Usually Benadryl won't, but I was pretty tired. I was pretty tired today too. Got up at freaking 6:45. Severely annoying when doctors try and give you stuff that you're like, yeah, that won't work. Panel nights, pick topics, and have conversations with people about them. That's not a bad idea. I will have to... Where's my friggin' notepad? Yes, that is a good idea. Where is my notepad? I'm writing that one down. Because, yeah, that's a really good idea. There we go. All right. So, to introduce my awesome guest, he is a martial artist. He is a pyrographer. I hope I got that right. A literal tech wizard and the man behind ndcd.org. Everyone, round of applause for our very own Joe Bachman.
Good evening.
How you doing?
Doing good. Doing good. It's actually nice being on this side of it and not being the one to run it, you know.
I imagine that's probably a little odd, but you know, we're gonna make it work.
Yeah. It's odd. It's more odd because I still have the admin capabilities.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I'm like, you know, just keeping my hands away from everything else.
Don't touch anything. Everything's good right now.
But
right.
No, I appreciate you having me on tonight. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I've been looking forward to this since the end of the last one. You know, if I had more people to interview, I'd be doing this more than once a month. But like I said, I'm going to very quickly, early next year, run out of people to actually talk to. So only doing it once a month is probably going to work out fairly well. So
yeah, it should work out pretty well.
We'll see. All right. So these are going to be a lot of the same questions as last time, but different guests, different answers. So,
This is true.
and we have some applause. We have some applause from Carl. So, and Donna is happy to see you, and Foxy,
Good
Trey.
evening, everyone.
And there's my lovely co-host over there, clicking away. All right, so very first question, since it is tea time, what are you drinking?
So I am drinking some wild berry flavored water that's in this lovely little half-gallon container. Still a little too warm out for me to start drinking hot beverages.
Yeah.
I am a coffee drinker in the winter, but once it's consistently above like 50 degrees in the morning, I go back to either water or Diet Pop for my caffeine in the morning. So about another couple weeks, I'll be switching back to coffees and teas and stuff. So,
and you should have some, at least according to Trey, you've got some pretty nice tasting teas over there. So that'll be.
Yeah, and she actually just picked up some more from a place called the Spice Cabinet, and they're based in Portage, Indiana. I don't know if they have a website or not that you can order from, but she has a ton of loose leaf teas.
Those are always nice to have, especially if you have like a tea ball or a strainer or something to get. You don't want to. I mean, you can eat the leaves; it's not going to hurt you. It's just kind of annoying.
Yeah. So, what kind of tea do you have this evening?
We're just sticking with the wild berry, but I'm trying it cold. I don't know. This is going to be weird, but no, it's all right. It's not as strong. Uh-oh. Dog need to go out again. Okay.
I can hear the little tip tap of come on, I want to go.
Hardwood floors. It's definitely, you can hear when she gets excited.
Mm-hmm.
So, how did you first get into martial arts?
So I got into it. This was after Trelina had already been practicing with Nick for quite some time. They were actually still part of the SCA when I first started kind of getting into it a little bit. Back then, my work schedule, because I was still working retail back then, was very just here, there, and everywhere. You know, every week was a different set of shifts. So I started going to practices when I could, and the first practice I was able to go to where I actually had enough of the proper equipment with me, protective equipment with me. Nick had, brought me out, started showing me the basics, and did a little bit of light sparring, and so that was, Lord, that would have been 16, 17, no, probably about 15 years ago.
Nice.
14, right. 15 years ago.
So she was first.
Yes. Yeah, because she started with the group at PNC at Purdue North Central in Westville, Indiana. And then had branched out from there. And I came along. We were already together at that time, but I just, like I said, with the way my work schedule was back then.
You never really knew when you were going to have free time to go and do anything because it might be working, might not. Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, it was the first practice was very interesting because as we were sparring, Nick had asked me, you've done this before? I said, no, first time I've ever held a sword. He goes, what do you do for a hobby? I said, well, I shoot pool. He goes, that's why you have, that's where your point control is coming in then. He goes, because you have excellent point control, you still need to work on everything else, but your point
Yeah.
control, like where you're aiming at is where you're
Yeah.
hitting, I can tell. So for those who are pool players that want to get into this, you already have a leg up. Uh,
And just like I told Katie when she first started training with me, you're a dancer. You already have a good base. You have good footwork. We just need to
mhm.
work on the upper body. Keep the lower body exactly how it is. You don't need to mess with anything.
Yep.
Just work from the waist up. So before that, you'd never had any kind of training, like running around as kids, beating your friends up with sticks, or
Oh yeah, I had that kind of improper
oh,
training,
yeah,
but
yeah, yeah,
you know that was more of
normal
a
training.
yeah.
Hmm.
That was Sunday churchyard football training. No pads, no nothing.
And I would imagine that doing things like that with all of the like armor and protective equipment is completely different from doing it without all that stuff.
it it is. So when I first started with Nick, it was basically you had to have the mask, which I think at the
Mm-hmm,
time I borrowed Trey's or I borrowed one of Nick's spares.
mm-hmm,
Nick always had a spare uh, overshirt that you could put on that was punch resistant.
mm-hmm.
It had been through the proper punch test, so you could actually even use it at an SCA tournament. Um,
Wow.
and you had to have a cup if you were male.
Well, that's definitely something you want to have anyway.
Yeah, but they wanted you. You didn't just have to have the cup. You had, for those who don't know, the cups actually have little holes in them. They
Mm.
you glue pennies over those holes also. That way, if the tip comes off the sword and it hits the cup, it doesn't just go straight through one of those holes. It's going to easily allow a sword through.
Oh, oh no, 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 no.
Right.
And Dan has
So,
joined us.
hey, Dan.
Napped and just so. What is your preferred weapon of all of the ones you've tried, or how many have you tried to begin with?
So I have used the steel rapiers. I think they were 36 or 39 inch, is what I originally started with.
Okay.
I mostly, now that we're using the plastics,
Mm-hmm.
I use a Dusix. Dusix, I
Okay.
think. Yeah, Dusix is the name
Mm-hmm.
of it. Um, I received one. Trey and I actually both received one from our friend Jim
Hmm.
as a Christmas gift one year, and I just kind of stuck with that. Actually, I think if you go back to watch the HFG where Nick and I were talking about the different sword bouts we did during Gary Shakespeare,
Mm-hmm.
the Dustic I believe is what I was using during one of my bouts.
Okay. Yeah, I think I remember that one. Yeah.
So, because I'll normally my first bout I'll start with that just because that's it's mine. I brought it with me. I'm going to stab somebody. Um, and then I'll start using the other plastic trainers and stuff we have. Um, I do prefer going, sword and shield.
Okay.
I am not as adept as my wife with sword and buckler. I prefer a larger
Mm-hmm.
shield,
Yeah.
but I can make go if I need to.
See, I don't think I've ever actually worked with a shield in any way.
Mhm.
Like I told Trey last time, when I am sparring, I almost completely forget I have a left hand. It's all right hand, and I don't honestly know because the couple of times I've tried using two weapons, like a weapon in each hand, I tend to forget about my left hand.
Mhm.
So I think if I was given a shield or a buckler, I would just forget it was there.
See, and that's where the oddity comes in for me. because I am technically left-handed. I write left-handed, I cut left-handed, but anything sports related, I am right-handed. So
Huh.
sword shooting pool, I shoot right-handed. Basketball, I dribble and shoot with my right. Baseball, I catch with my left, throw with my right. I bat right-handed. The sad part is I have better hand-eye coordination with my right hand, so playing baseball, I'd forget that the glove is on my left hand, and I instinctively try to catch with my right and have to try and switch
Hmm.
out. Um, but having something in my left hand while sword fighting, I don't forget that it's there because that is still my
Yeah.
you know it's my dominant, but it's not my dominant, if that
It,
makes
it
any
it
sense.
it makes perfect sense because actually Foxy's the exact same way. She is well, she can write with both of her hands, but most of the time she uses her left. But like when we used to go out to the archery range, she would shoot right-handed
Hmm. Yeah,
because
archery. I'm right-handed.
so you
And
have some
it's
experience with that too.
I do have a little bit. Not a lot. A buddy of mine got into archery for a little bit, and there's a place on Highway 6 not too far from where I'm at that has it's basically like you pay a monthly fee and
Hmm.
you have 24-hour access to this little archery range, indoor archery range.
Well, yeah, why not?
And so we'd go down there, you bring your own targets, set them up, all that fun stuff. And we'd just go down, just bring some pops down with us and play some music and just you know shoot until our arms wouldn't allow us to pull back anymore. So
Yeah. And there's
um
Don. Hey, Don,
hey Don.
you're late.
But I've always wanted to try to switch it up, um because like I said, I have better hand-eye coordination with my right hand.
Hmm.
I've always wanted to try and go with the shield in my right, sword
Hmm.
in my left. I would have to really work on that because I
Hmm.
don't have the control with this hand that I do with my right hand. As far as if I'm gonna spar with somebody, they're gonna need protective equipment because I'm gonna hit a lot harder with this one just because I don't know. You know, it kind of does its own thing. Uh,
That's yeah. When I'm walking around the apartment here, just getting steps and exercise, sometimes I'll carry a sword with me.
mhm.
And I always find carrying it in my left hand so that I can draw and use it with my right hand feels natural. But if I put it in the other hand, I feel off balance. It's like I can't, this does not feel right.
Mhm.
But I'm sure there would be someone willing to, work with you on that if you really want to try it. I'm sure someone would volunteer to be a
Yeah.
punching
Oh,
bag.
I mean, Trey and I could work on it.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It would just, we'd both. I would need to get body armor again that actually fit me because I'd be taking a lot of shots. I have a feeling, but
Yes. We know you have family stuff going on, Don. I was kidding. Hey,
yep.
Rich is here. Rich is not usually
Hey,
here.
Rich.
That's why working with Jim was always a good thing, as he's naturally a southpaw, so he got practice with his right, and I got practice with my left. Okay.
Yep. Yeah.
So do you have?
Rich is.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
You have a preferred style with that weapon, or do you just use what works? And
My style is to try and keep both arms available and try and stay on my feet. Uh,
I mean, hey,
my I have the style of don't die. Uh,
that's a good style. We like that style here.
yeah. Yeah. I stab you, stab me. That's my preferred style. It doesn't always work, but I
Hey,
I never when Nick and Trey were part of the SCA. I never
Mhm.
really got into, I didn't have the time to get into it,
Mhm.
in depth like they did and learn the different styles. I've learned, you know, quite a bit from Nick's style, from the simple sword, and
Yeah.
you know, I guess my style is more of just using the eight positions for the
Mhm.
guards.
Yeah.
That's essentially my style. I don't do Gigante, I don't do Fabris, you know, it's I imagine I lean more into one than the other than I realize, but
Probably you don't have a
I've
name for it.
right. I've just never officially studied, those styles.
And we have Trey being sweet at you, that's just cute.
Aw.
Yes, Dan. Pointy end goes into the other man. Yes. The was it Mask or Mark of Zorro that he said that? I can't remember which one it was.
I don't remember either, but yeah, I do remember that line. Pointy end goes in the other guy.
Do you even know how to use that? Yes. Pointy end goes to the other man. I mean, come on, man. And Rich agrees.
And some people though, you
Pointy,
still have to spell that out. Uh,
yeah, like the Claymore mines that say, this end towards enemy. You have to point it
right.
out. Yes. But what if you have, like the piercers that I made for Trey that have pointy ends on each side?
Well, see, that just makes it, dealer's choice at that point.
Exactly. Rich got a nap in earlier, so he's actually awake at the keyboard. Nice.
Nice.
You might end up being a guest on this, I don't know, maybe in December. I don't know. We'll see.
Rich would be an excellent one to chat with, especially in regards to two-handed.
And I'm trying to like do different, not just different people, but also different styles. So, you have two-handed and one-handed and a weapon in each hand and stuff like that. So, and we might see if we can talk Donna into being my guest for next month, because I'm also trying to stagger man woman that way. So
Mm-hmm.
we'll see. And here's the question that Trey had fun with. How do you incorporate martial arts training into your job?
By playing live-action Frogger on the interstates.
There you go.
If you want to see just how good your footwork is, have a vehicle come barreling down on you at 70 plus miles per hour and see if you can dodge it.
I mean, yeah. It's not like really, really well traveled, but there's a highway just out that way. Highway 6. And
Mm-hmm.
when I'm crossing that, sometimes you have to, because people don't care. They don't.
Okay, I'm going to ask the question. Is it a state road? Is it State Road Highway 6 or US Highway 6?
It's state.
State, okay.
Yeah. See,
It was going to be fun. It was going to be funny if you had, because US Highway 6 runs through Indiana, and it is
yeah.
an east-west road. I just wasn't sure, once you get past Chicago, I lose track of it. So,
I'm pretty sure it's State Road 6. It's not actually Highway 6. It's just, it goes, I think, from Green River, which is a couple hours south of us, up until it connects to I-15 in Provo. And then I-15 goes. This is why I want Rich on this show is German longsword. I want to be able to and talk about Meyer Square, because that one
mm-hmm.
I've been playing around with that one a little bit. But now here's a question that I didn't ask Trey, because she's not in the whole, technology IT type sector, but this is something that I have noticed for myself. But have you ever noticed that being a martial artist or a swordsman has helped you to not lose your temper when it comes to coding or tech mistakes or things like that?
To an extent, yes. Everybody has their breaking point.
Oh yeah.
There, there have been times where I know Trey has heard me while I'm down here going, you know, I changed one thing. Why the are you not working now?
Uh-huh.
Um, there was also a time when I was the IT manager at NDOT, and it was an extremely busy day, and I submitted a request for like a printer or something.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was a printer for one of our maintenance units to the main IT department downstate, and they had rejected it. And I read the reason, and just apparently my filter decided to just go off. Um, and while sitting in my cubicle, all you hear is, "You've got to be kidding me!"
Mm-hmm. Uh-huh.
And I stopped and I looked around. Oh crap! I'm actually still in my cubicle right now, and I can hear one of my coworkers giggling off to the side. And my director at the time, God love her, I loved working under her. She comes up to the edge of my cubicle and she just kind of peers over and goes, "Are we having a bad day?" "Yes, Sarah, we're having a bad day. IoT is filled with idiots. Do you need to step outside for a few minutes?" "Yeah, I'm gonna go step outside for a few minutes.
Yeah,
I'm
good
gonna
idea.
go back. I'm gonna go around back of the traffic building." "Okay, have fun." And she just turns and walks away. This,
It's definitely something that I have noticed. I started doing martial arts before I started doing like HTML and stuff, but there were many times, especially in that first class that I took when we were learning HTML, which was clear back in 2001, that I would just be writing the code and stuff would not be working, and I would just be getting absolutely beyond frustrated and just go, okay, just take a breath.
so my start with coding actually was also HTML. It's
Mm,
HTML and JavaScript.
mm,
So back in it was actually about the same time frame, about '01,
mm,
2000, 2001. There used to be an online group um, called Cyber Army,
okay,
and it was a website that had basically kind of all walks of life as far as the IT side goes. Like you
okay,
had your network admins, you had your server admins, you had your white hat hackers, you had your black hat hackers, you
mm-hmm.
had it was a real interesting group of people that had basically kind of banded together to try and make the internet a better place. That was when um I really don't want to I'm not going to say let's just say that had you know things been more online, it wouldn't have taken as long for Epstein to get caught.
Mm-hmm.
They
Yeah,
had a division specifically devoted to that. That even the black hats were like, we want in on this so we can take them down.
yeah, there you go.
So, um, but on their website, they had a series of hacking challenges. And the first one uh, was to look at the source code. You'd go to the page and it had this little number pad on it.
Mm-hmm.
It was 1 through 9, 1 through 9 and 0. And you had to look at the source code, find the right part of the JavaScript that gave you basically like a formula,
Mm-hmm.
and you'd run that formula, it'd give you a 3-digit number, and then you just had to put that 3-digit number into the keypad and it let you through. Thing was, every time you went back to that page, it randomized the number again.
Okay. All right.
So, but that's how I got started. Is I actually went through and printed off the source code, and then started going through a tutorial and started breaking down, what everything was in there.
Mm-hmm. Our final for that class was basically to build a website, and I still have the code on my old, completely bricked desktop that I can't get into because the video card is fried. But I really enjoyed that class. It was definitely something that outside of my comfort zone, which was the entire reason I took the class in the first place.
Right. So yeah, that's actually how I got my start, and that was long before I ever picked up a sword.
Yeah.
Actually, it's almost about time Trey and I started dating.
So you've been together for roughly about as long as me and Foxy have then. Because we got together in 2002, I think, something like that.
We started dating, it was the last day of my sophomore year of high school, last day of her freshman year. So that would have been 02 that we started dating.
So do you consume any kind of martial arts media, like, the old Shaw Brothers kung fu movies,
Not very much. I don't consume very much media in general.
Yeah.
Outside of the streams that I support and watch. I do watch a little bit of Star Trek when I have the inkling.
Yeah.
But most of my time is spent either on this computer or the one that's lit up. I'll figure out how to point my hand with this camera. The one that's lit up behind me there. So, or I'm wood burning, or
Married 10 years, together 22. Yeah. Except for the married part. We haven't really we haven't made that step yet. But might as well. So
oh,
my parents, especially my father, is so traditional that he doesn't really know how to introduce her to people. So he's just like, that's my son's. Yeah. He doesn't know.
okay. I was he who shall not be named for quite a while. So,
Ouch.
Yeah, there's a long story behind that one.
I'm sure there is.
Luckily, the gentleman my sister-in-law dated kind of saved me from that name. So,
took over the mantle for you?
Oh, big time. Big time. He made me look like the Pope.
Boy. Dear. And what's really interesting, at least as far as me and Foxy's relationship is considered, is I have an older brother and a younger sister, and they have both been married and divorced and married again in the time span that she and I have been together. So it's like you are fine with their relationships, but she's been around longer.
Yeah.
So, Don's got to go. Sadness. Bye, Don.
See you, Don.
If you could fight one historical person, who would it be and why?
Ooh. I wouldn't say one. I'm horrible with history. I will fully admit that.
And that's fine. That's fine.
But to go back to just ancient China or Japan in general,
Mm-hmm.
going back towards like the Huns even and fighting
Yeah.
them, I think would probably be my go-to. Maybe not Attila himself, but um,
No, 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 no.
but a few of his guards would make
Yeah, it could be
for
interesting.
fun.
Yeah. Made you look like the Pope from a Catholic point of view, a Protestant point of view, or an atheist point of view.
Yes.
There's a question.
The answer to that is yes.
That's a good answer. I like that answer.
I'm waiting
All
for my
right.
wife to chime in on that one.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we'll see what she says. But in the meantime, beyond the weapons you've already learned, which sounds like there are a few in there, if you could learn one other weapon from anywhere in the world, anywhere, what would you choose?
I'd like to learn more about longsword.
Okay.
And that's mainly to just more or less just to learn it, just to learn
Mm-hmm.
how to properly wield and get those motions. That and I have sparred with Rich before with
Mm-hmm.
longsword. Um, but I think it would help with um, learning those movements, and then say as you're sparring, they hit your left arm. Now you're using what should be two-handed
Mm-hmm.
as one-handed.
Mm-hmm.
You know, would also still help translate back to improvement on using a Dusek.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that. That's. I have sparred with multiple different people with lots of different weapons myself,
Mm-hmm.
and the ones I had the biggest problem with was longsword and axes. They're like
Yeah.
extremes on both ends, you know?
Yeah, and axes, it's especially even if you're going double sword, you know, or going sword and shield, sword and buckler, that axe, especially if it's one of the ones that has the little, notch in the
Beard axes,
bottom,
yeah.
they will grab hold of that shield, pull you closer, and then, hit you with their other axe or stab you with their sword. Um,
Mm-hmm.
that is a fun one to play with though, going sword and axe. Um, I've seen people go. I've seen sword and axe. I've seen dagger and axe.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I've seen double axe.
Double axe, yeah.
Um,
Axe and warhammer.
haven't seen that just because we didn't have any warhammers, but yeah, axe and warhammer would be a good one. Um, but I've also seen people go karambit and double karambit, which is interesting to say the least.
Just for fun, I have to do this because I don't think very many people have seen this. Birthday present I got a few years ago.
Ooh,
Yeah, I have a
that
karambit.
is that is pretty.
And it comes with a shoulder holster. So,
Nice.
yeah. Have to tell the full story in the green room it's involved. Oh, dear.
Yeah, it really is.
Yes. Bearded axes. Yes.
You'd think I'd remember that. Uh,
Well, that's another thing that I've noticed with certain people is the terminology they don't really care as much about. It's the how do I put this? The potential behind it is more important.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't really care about what this thing is called or this thing. It's just, I want to use it. I don't really care what it is.
Yeah. You hand me two different axes, I'm going to look at them and go, sharp side goes an opponent.
There you go.
You know,
this one is for throwing. This one is not.
Right. And you can throw the other one. It's not going to probably achieve those same results, you know, unless you, nat 20 your strength throw. In that case, the handle's going to go through. But
I've seen that too. I have seen that. We have a place here in town that just opened fairly recently, within the last 2 or 3 years, that does axe throwing. And there have been times where someone will chuck an axe and the handle goes in.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
yep, they nat 20'd and the wood nat 1'd.
Unhappy screaming child outside that's been screaming for the past freaking hour and a half. Now, this one might be an interesting question since you're not great with history or anything, but if you could fight one historical master, who would you fight?
Yeah, that part, that one I'm going to have to actually, I would have to skip because I don't know the history as well. You know, I don't, well,
and that's,
yeah, I can say as well, because I know a little bit of history. I don't know the masters. I don't know,
yeah,
you know, things like that. I would have to say, just because I've done more fencing than anything else,
mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, going against, I just said the two different styles a little bit ago. Gigante or Fabros, you know, going against the people who, you know, started the form and improved upon said form.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. The thing that gets me is certain, you know, semi-famous YouTubers out there who shall not be named, going out there and saying that you don't need to study the masters because their treatises and all that stuff is bullshit. And it's like, these people did this shit for a living.
Mm-hmm.
They lived and died by these techniques that you're basically shitting all over. And it's like, no, dude, these people know what they're talking about. You can't just discount them because you don't like it.
Right.
Oh, Foxy getting in on this. I have a question for Joe. As a larger person, what's the hardest type of opponent for you to fight against? Oh, dear.
So the hardest type would be the slim, quick ones. And that's mainly because they will generally have more stamina. However, I also come from the background of, you take out a man's kneecap, it don't matter how big, fast, or small they are, they're not moving.
Mm-hmm.
So I will go from aiming for the arm shots, the head shots, the body shots, to lower down and trying to get the leg. Because then you're either hopping around on one leg or you're doing the kneeling down and, you know.
Then you can't move as well.
Right. I will find a way to make you more stationary.
And that's definitely something that I have personally come across, because I come from Bagua and Mantis. So if I'm not moving around constantly,
mm-hmm.
I don't feel like I'm fighting. So I tend to be the type of person that hops in, attacks, and hops back out. As much as I can hop there with my hip.
Whereas I'm more the type that I will circle. if you watch the sparring that Nick and I did, or even Trey and I, there's a lot of us just kind of circling each other, trying to see who's going to make the first
That is
misstep.
actually very, very Bagua oriented, because Bagua fighters think in circles.
Mm-hmm.
If you ever look up, there's one video that I have found online, and I don't even know if it's still there anymore. But if you look up, what was it? Bagua wooden man. So instead of the stationary wooden man that you see with Wing Chun, they're circling it constantly.
Okay.
And there was another one that was Bagua push hands. So like the Tai Chi push hands, but both opponents are circling each other the whole time.
Okay.
You look that up, and that's probably very similar to what you're talking about.
Yeah. It sounds very similar, because that is my style. I will circle and then come in and then go back to circling.
That's very, very Bagua. That's interesting to me.
But also with my height being, I'm not overly tall. I'm 6 foot, but I will use my, I won't do the hop in, hop out. I'm going to take a step in and step back out of range, because I'm going to get,
because you have
a few feet of range.
Step.
Yeah. I'm going to get a few feet of range with that step. I'm also going to get quite a bit of range with this arm. So.
Mm-hmm. And this is true to an extent, but those people who say to disregard those that came before will end up peddling the same thing, just worded differently, except the person I'm talking about. And I'm sure some of the people will know who I'm talking about too. He just peddles, I wrote a fantasy book and everyone should fight the way that my fantasy book character fights. Rubs her bad knee as Joe talks about taking kneecaps out. Yeah. He's hurt just thinking about it. Reason that Donna cringes when she watches Roadhouse. That's a good movie.
That's a very good movie.
And just a little bit of behind the scenes. The scene towards the beginning of the movie where Dalton is practicing outside the farmhouse. Mm-hmm. If you watch, he's doing Yang Simplified 24. He's doing Yang Tai Chi.
Okay.
Go back and watch that scene. That's Yang Simplified 24. I know that form. I see that and I'm like,
mm-hmm.
I know what that is. Now here's one that you might be able to easier answer. I can talk. If you could fight one fictional character, book, movie, video game, who would you pick?
Ooh.
Yeah.
We got some options here.
Yeah.
I'm going to go top 3 and in no particular order.
Okay.
Book, Aragon, from Lord of the Rings.
Okay. Yeah.
Fighter,
good one.
essentially. Movies, Luke Skywalker.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That's a good one too.
Video game, Link. Just because I know I could keep him busy by throwing rupees and play pots and,
yeah, he's like
be able to come up and stab him. Huh?
He's like 3 feet tall.
Yeah, that too.
You could
but you throw a rupee at him when he goes to run off and grab it. That's when you stab him.
Chuck little pots at him, and he just have to smash them because why not?
Yeah.
All right. Last question. Slightly different wording from last time. But how would you personally improve martial arts for taller and larger people worldwide?
So trying to find a way to better customize the armor, I think would be a good start.
Mm-hmm.
Which I know a lot of people would say, oh, adjusting this fighting style or, doing this with the sword. I think
Mm-hmm.
before anything else, the safety aspect of it would need to be what's really addressed.
Mm-hmm.
Whether that be coming up with a chest, chest and torso armor that isn't necessarily a one size fits all,
Mm-hmm.
but making it to where, you know, I'm ordering, something that's say technically a 5X, but
Mm-hmm.
would have the strapping and the ability to go down to as low as a 3X, so that as the person, if, say a bigger guy like me, I
Mm-hmm.
wear generally a 3X or 4X shirt. I generally wear 4X or 5X safety vests because I have to put those over my winter jacket, so they got to
Mm-hmm.
fit over that. But I also, even my jackets, I go a little bit bigger because I have the same condition my mother had called gorilla arms, where if I sit down in the car and I go to grab the steering wheel, the coat ends up from being here up to about here uh, for the arms if I
Mm-hmm.
buy my actual size. Um, but making it to where, okay, I could buy a 4X armor
Mm-hmm.
that as I'm working, as I'm training, I'm, especially if I'm doing it to help myself lose weight and get more in shape, giving them the ability to resize that armor and still have it be protective it, to a certain point before they have to go out and buy something new.
Okay.
If that makes any kind of
Oh yeah, yeah. That makes
sense,
that makes perfect sense.
of affordability and practicality, I guess.
And armor was part of Trey's answer too. So that makes perfect sense. You need to have something that will fit with your particular body type that can
Hmm.
still keep all of the relevant points protected.
Yeah.
And I have done this too. Got to love it when you Frankenstein out the end of your long sleeves. I've done that.
Hmm.
Ooh, Kitty has a question. Ooh, okay. Who's the better? Well, now you're doing better again. That's a hard thing to answer because better in what way?
So, as far as me fighting them, I'm assuming is what she's
Yeah,
going
I'm sure
after
that's
here.
yeah.
Um, that's hard to say because both of them, we can go off the rails very quickly because there's a lot of banter back and
Mm-hmm.
forth. Um, I would say, I would actually, honestly, I'd have to say Nick because I've probably sparred with him more than
Okay.
I have Trey. Um, because outside of the few times a year we get to go down to Nick's and spar
Mm-hmm.
there. Sparring during the Gary Shakespeare, before the Gary Shakespeare plays up
Yeah.
here. Trey and I really don't have a lot of time generally, especially during construction season, to spar.
Yeah.
You know, between work and the parks board and everything else that we do, it's kind of like we have to chunk out time like the Gary Shakespeare Company
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
or going down to Nick's to do it. Otherwise it's like, holy cow, we have nothing. nothing on the calendar this weekend, we're not doing crap.
Not doing it. Yeah.
You know, what's your plans for the weekend? Go have breakfast, watch the Teahouse if it's on this weekend, and that's it. You know, that's literally our weekend if we have nothing else going on.
And just knowing that you take, set time aside to watch this, that's really cool. I love that. That's awesome.
I will admit that with the time difference, I forget what time it's coming on sometimes.
Yeah.
So if I'm not like, there's times where I'll be on my phone and it'll pop down a little notification. Lady Thesis is live. Crap. Change the channel on TV real quick over to YouTube.
Hey, as long as you're here, That's why I said I don't know if I'm even going to be doing a show in a couple of weeks because most of my audience isn't going to be here. So it's like it'll be like back when I first started, when I had like one person watching and it was her. Like I don't know if I might take the week off. I don't know.
Or do a pre-recorded show.
I've thought about that too. There was one thing that I wanted to do a couple of months ago while we were on vacation from work about the differences between Japanese and Chinese sword drawing styles that I never got around to doing. Because doing it in here ain't going to work.
Right.
Need to go outside. And it was just too damn hot to do it outside. But now, like I said, right out this window here, there's a pretty good sized field between two of our apartments here where I used to actually train my sister-in-law. Which was interesting because you have apartments on this side and this side. So I got a lot of people watching.
Yep.
That's actually another question. We're over the hour, but I don't really care. When you're doing, sparring before the Shakespeare Company stuff, and do you get just random people that just come up and watch and then just go away?
Yep. We got that a lot back when Nick still lived up this way. Generally Friday night was the time to meet up and have some sword play. It was, I can't remember the name of there was a county park we used to go to over in Michigan City. It was between Michigan City and LaPorte, Indiana, off County Road 400. Trey, I know you're still watching. Throw that in the chat. Or Rich, you might remember the name of it too. Creek Ridge. We'd get people there that would sit and watch. We'd get people that would occasionally call the cops because, oh my God, people with swords. And this was back when we all still had the live sword, live steel essentially. It was all tipped, it was all safe, but metal swords. And then I think we used to go to Valparaiso, which is a park in Valparaiso, Indiana, if I remember correctly. That was relatively short-lived because Valpo was filled with a bunch of crazy people, and we just got tired of dealing with the antics.
See, when we used to do Boffer, we would go to one of our city parks. We have, I don't know, 2 or 3 of them, but the one that the group chose, there's houses along this side of the road, and the park is like right here. So you have all these people, and I cannot tell you how many times we would be out there with boffer swords and pole arms, and people would walk out of their houses and just sit on the front porch. And we had cops called on us a couple of times too, but I mean, we have duct tape wrapped PVC pipe. It's pretty obvious it's not actually a sword, but we never had anybody like actually come up and be like, hey, can we join or anything like that. So
yeah,
that would be interesting. And Dawn is back. Hello, Dawn.
hey Don.
At the park, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
People that wanted to play along as well, but there were 25 full volumes of Pages to the Wind. Oh boy. Yeah, drunk people and any kind of sword or unarmed, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
No, we don't do that here.
Yep, back when I think Lendy did longsword too back then. But
completely random question from Foxy to finish us off. What's your favorite candy bar? Yeah, why not? Let's throw that out there too.
Mounds. I like dark chocolate and coconut.
Not the Great Room.
Well, I'm not really fond of nuts, so I don't go for Almond Joy because Almond Joy has nuts. Mounds don't.
There you go. Oh, you had 3 people that I did longsword.
Oh, I forgot about Thorn. Yeah.
There was one guy in our particular group that everyone called Ogre, and he was like 6'4", and he would start every, I guess, game by showing everyone that he could kick himself in the forehead.
Okay.
He's like, hey guys, watch this. Okay. The group that we played with was comprised of different houses. And you would have, we played Capture the Flag, we played Robin Hood, but you also had people that weren't part of any particular house and they were mercenaries, and Ogre was a mercenary. And we were playing Capture the Flag once, and he got hired by the other side. The other side was dumb. We were playing in a park that had a pretty steep hill to it.
Mm-hmm.
And so our group picked the bottom corner of the hill to plant our flag in. Other group picked the top of the hill. So when they, blew the whistle to start the game, the other group took off down the hill. And anyone who has ever run downhill knows it's not easy to stop.
Mm-mm.
And they were
objects in motion tend to stay in motion, and you're going to stay in motion running down a hill.
Sprint running down that hill. So they were pretty easy to kill. But Ogre's running at me. And I'm like, this guy, he's got like 5 or 6 inches on me. He's not that much taller than me, but he's quite a bit stronger than me. And he's obviously crazy because he kicks himself in the head for fun. So I just went, I'll pay you double. And he stopped. And I mean, he stopped. Like slammed on the brakes, stopped. Just stopped. Turned around and killed all the people next to him. And I'm just like, yes. Easier it is to stop coming down the hill, the more you're going to need Tylenol.
Yes.
Well, see, there was another person that got killed 4 times. Because the way that it was me and Foxy and one other woman that was protecting the flag, and we decided to stagger ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So I stood in the front, and the other woman in the back, and then Foxy was like right next, the flag was like right behind her. And one guy came running down the hill, could not stop. So I sidestepped and slashed him in the gut. He kept running. It happened again. He kept running. It happened again. He's like, all right. Shit, I'm dead. Oh, crap. The only reason he stopped is because he hit the sidewalk. Yeah, those were fun times. Okay. We are over the hour. I definitely need to go get some friggin' dinner.
Mm-hmm.
What are we looking at here? Next show will be October 19th. And because Donna requested it, it's going to be on Asian mysticism. That was the show I was going to do on the 26th for Halloween, but since ain't nobody going to be here for Halloween.
And Trey and I will have to catch next week's show on the rerun because we will have Dark in the Park going that night. So
that was the other reason why I wanted to do this. That, and then the next week was going to be, Halicon. So yep. I figure we can get this done. And Donna, how would you like to be the next Tea Time guest for November? We'll try and work that out because I think that'll be fun.
I think it would be too.
Yeah. Because I've heard, she has axes and armor, and she obviously has a background in this stuff, so it'll be fun to learn some stuff. All right, cool. She's in. Good deal. We'll just have to pick a Saturday. One of the 3 or 4.
Yep.
All right, guys. Thank you for coming. This was a lot of fun.
Thank you for having me on.
Of course. You can find most of us on indiecd.org.
Yep.
And everyone, go enjoy the rest of your night. Go do whatever you're going to do for the next several hours because I'm going to go eat dinner and wait for Last Man Standing. That's pretty much going to be my night right there.
Yeah.
Great show. Thank you, Donna. This was fun. And Trey agrees because, of course, she does. Because the Queen speaks and everyone listens.
Yes.
It's fun. Have a great
night. All hail Aunt Donna.
Yes. All hail Queen Donna. We got to put the right title on there. We're all going to be on the block here.
Don't threaten me with a good time. Anyway, not the green room.
No. Some of you later tonight, yeah, you'll probably be in bed by the time I'm around. Oh. Excuse me.
See, you didn't even have the right title there to begin with, apparently.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I'm in trouble. Praise the Queen. Donna's the Empress. Okay. I will try to.
We're not worthy.
Your Majesty. Foxy will be the apothecary. Playing Nine Dragons and playing all of the different RPGs and stuff I played, there is one constant that I've always known, and that is you do not mess with the healers because they know how you're put together and they will know how to take you apart.
Mm-hmm. Or they'll just sit there and go, "Oh, you expect me to cast that spell? No."
Oh, when we played Nine Dragons, one of the things that pissed her off the most is she'd be set up in a town. Like you
totally froze up there. You totally froze up there for a second.
Yeah, I know our internet was being weird. Yeah, we don't believe that. No, sorry, no. First thing we learned in EMS training was how someone got injured in order to heal them. Oh, look, you're bleeding.
Yeah.
What should we do? All right, guys, we got to get out of here.
Yep.
Good night, everybody. Thank you for coming. Thank the people who might possibly watch this later. I don't know. Could happen. But good night, everybody. 再见.
Good night, all.